because there were so many of them. And all this music originated from Ghana. Why? In Nigeria, the popular genre in music is Highlife. Where did Highlife come from? Ghana.
That is the word we are going to have the discussion.
Quite agree with our legend, Chief Pets Edochie, on his submission, because if you go back to history, I will just kind of refresh the mind of the listeners, because when we talk about this thing, so many in this our generation where people don't read history anymore, people don't know what happened yesterday. And Highlife started in the music in general started to gain inroad into Africa, especially Western Africa in the 20th century.
DJ Paco Rich.
Okay, people, welcome to the channel. My name is DJ Paco Rich, popularly known in Nigeria as Mazi. Others, they call me Otumba, some they call me Siriki. And in the recent name and the title and the cape sent from Nigeria, I've been given the title of Ezemo, meaning I am with the spirit. And then we're definitely going to speak like, Ezemo. And so today, we are going to have a conversation. Yesterday, there was a video online by the legendary Petty Edochie. And then that video has generated a lot of conversation here in Ghana about Ghana's contribution to the continent Africa. And specifically, he went down on Highlife music. And I was surprised. Personally, I didn't know the legend had so much knowledge about our music like that, because his way of mentioning our musicians and then their names, these are not just new day musicians, but legendary musicians and their contribution, the titles of their songs and all that. It was mind-blowing for me. And so I decided to hold a very balanced conversation to discuss it with my brothers, which is Brother Joseph, who represents the Nigeria side, and he's in UK as well, and Kojo King is also from Ghana, a Highlife musician. To be precise, he's not just this modern day Highlife musician. I mean, he understands the roots. He has a song on YouTube, very nice song. It's called Be Kind. So you can go check it out. And this is the conversation we're going to have. Let's listen to this video. We'll listen to it in bits because it's in just about 4 minutes. So we wouldn't play all because of fair use reasons. So let's listen to the video from the legend.
If you want to assess a people and their contributions to the world, you think about their culture. Culture is eclectic. Culture is dynamic. And because of the impact of culture on the minds of people, Ghana registered an indelible impression on the minds of the entire African people on the continent.
And so take notes on that. We'll come back and we'll discuss that.
First of all, let's talk about Ghanaian music. There was a guy called E.T. Mensah. He began it all. He gave us Day by Day, and then Africa, the home of freedom. Ghana, the land of freedom. Then after E.T. Mensah, we have the Black Beats of Ghana, led by King Bruce. We have the Broadway Dance Band with Joss Akins. We had the Ramblers Dance Band with Jerry Hansen. We have the African Brothers with Ampadu. Then, of course, came the Guitar Band series.
Listen some more.
Because there were so many of them. And all this music originated from Ghana. Why? In Nigeria, the popular genre in music is Highlife. Where did Highlife come from? Ghana.
That is the word we are going to have the discussion on.
This is where it originated. And this is why, whenever you play Highlife, you cannot forget to mention that this is the home of Highlife. Sitting down here and looking at the young men and women performing, I tell you the truth, I've been carried away. I wish I were as light as Pat Thomas. I would have been dancing here, Ghana became independent in 1957. Until Until then, so many countries on the continent of Africa were not independent. There was a football competition that was organized in 1957 between Ghana and Nigeria.
History.
It was called the Jalco Cup competition. I don't ever recall that experience with nostalgia, but with plenty of melancholy. Why? Because Ghana beat us by 7 goals to nothing. Now, when we come to the field of sports, the first Ghanaian boxer to become a...
Well, I think let's end it there. We'll come to the sporting side because we want to focus more about the music. But first, I'm going to send this to Joseph. What has been your experience with Highlife in Nigeria? Since the legendary from Nigeria is stating that Highlife originated from Ghana, what is your knowledge about Highlife in Nigeria?
Okay, thank you for that question because I'm a music person, and I have been on the music scene for nearly 20 years now. And also somebody who is a historian. I like history so much, and I like to read about so many subjects. When it comes to music in Africa, especially in the western part of Africa, I quite agree with our legend, Chief Pets Edochie, on his submission, because if you go back to history, I will just kind of refresh the mind of the listeners, because when we talk about this thing, so many in this our generation where people don't read history anymore, people don't know what happened yesterday. And Highlife started in the music in general started to gain inroad into Africa, especially Western Africa, in the 20th century. And that music later spread to other part of West Africa, especially Nigeria. You know, Highlife started in Ghana, just like the man said, and the first person to blend Western instrument with African instrument, his name is actually E.T. Mensah. He started in 1930. So he tagged the king of Highlife. So if you go just by the chronological order of how the man put it, E.T. Mensah started in 1930. Highlife is the first person who blend in the instrument of West and the Africa to make a music. Then the other person was Kwabena Oyina. I think he started in 1940. You know, the other person is Jerry Hansen and the Ramblers International Band. They started in the 1950s. Another person is Amake Adede in the 1970s. And another person is Nana Ampadu, 1960. So if you look at this list, you will see that the Highlife music was influenced from Ghana to Nigeria. If you go by the date, you see the first Highlife musician in Nigeria, I will say this, many Nigerians probably might have not heard this name before. The first person who originated Highlife in Nigeria, his name is Bobby Benson. He's a Yoruba man. He's the king, he's the father of Highlife in Nigeria, and he started in 1940s, followed by Res Lawson, 1950. Then, if you go down, you see Victor Olaiya, you see Victor Waifu, and Oster Osadebe. You see, Highlife music started in Ghana in the 30s, but it gained 30 years after, when our people from Nigeria has come to Ghana to learn how to play Highlife. Then they come back probably 20 years after, 30 years after, to begin to play Highlife in Nigeria. And from my experience growing up, Ghana music in Nigeria was, in fact, there was a time he was competing with the highest high life musician in Nigeria. Even up to today, when you go to Aba or Onitsha, they still play Ghana music today. So because of the way probably Nigeria was a little bit in population, and when our high life picked up in Nigeria, I think there was some money become involved, just like Afrobeat is today.
Yeah.
The Nigerian high life musicians start to invite instrumentalists from Ghana to come to Nigeria to play for them. That is where a lot of them now reside in. If you go to Aba, you still see a large population of Ghana people. Many of them are descendants of guitarists, band, bassists, pianists, high life musicians. I grew up with one. His name is Kofi, and he plays for his father plays is a guitarist for Oliver the Cook. So what Peter Edochie said, you can never high life gained inroad in Nigeria 20 years or 30 years after it has originated from Ghana. So I quite agree with it.
Well said. But one of the conversations that we normally hear online from the Gen Zs, they come like, now Igbo high life has been there long time ago and all these things. So what is Ghana saying and all that? Well, did we have a particular time that they had a specific kind of Nigerian high life that was different from what Ghanaians brought?
If you look at music in general, obviously music has been there since time immemorial, and every country and every culture especially have how they express themselves with music.
Yeah.
But when it comes to a particular genre of blending the Western instrument with African instrument, Africa more or less have like an intertwined culture of the way they express themselves in music. So in my own place, the most prominent music instrument in my place is some area you see ogene, and this ogene, there's traditional drums that we use stick to beat, and ogene and udu. That udu is something like it's like a bass, in form of bass. When you bring that ogene, that traditional drum, and that ogene, those are what form part of our instrument in the place where I come from. In the Yoruba land where I grew up, they have a popular talking drum. That talking drum formed most of their music expression, you see. If you go to Yoruba land, that talking drum, if you see a specialist in talking drum, they can use it to sing your name. They can use it to do anything. So if you see many of the Yoruba music, you will hear that talking drum. Even in the video songs, in many of them, you hear talking drum there. If you look at this music that is coming from Igbo land, you will see mostly that traditional drums and a little bit of that ogene in some of them. So this was how I believe in the olden days our people express themselves in music. But when it comes to high life, blending those instruments now with the Western instrument like the piano, the guitar, and the band, that originated in Ghana.
Thank you. All right, Kojo. I think our brother
Bro,
Joseph has said a lot. I don't know if he's
exactly.
spoken your mind for you or you still have some stuff to say. But I will still ask you. I mean, you watched the video. I saw you. You were one of the first people that posted that video because you were a high life artist and then you really, really wanted to speak about it. And so this is the opportunity. What do you make of what the legendary Peter Edochie said in that video?
Okay, so I must say I'm happy that our brother Joseph said he loves history and he wants to read, because there's a saying that unacquainted with history will forever remain a child.
Yeah.
So you need that you read about your past. And when people like Peter Edochie comes out and say things as it is. In fact, when I watched the video and the way he was flowing and how he was precise with the names of the musicians and the times. It was so amazing. And I'm wondering, the Gen Zs of yesterday, they are trying to, I mean, make fast about whatever the legend is saying. Yes, in fact, we are not talking about whether some other part of Africa are doing high life music or they are not doing high life music.
Yeah.
Music itself is dynamic.
Yeah.
If, like,
Yes.
let's a typical example, I can say a Stone Boy picking influences from reggae and dancehall and calling it Afro dancehall.
Yeah.
So if, let's say, in the near future we are writing a history and maybe dancehall has become huge in Ghana, we can say dancehall originated from Ghana, but from Jamaica, where our people got influence from. So I'm happy our brother Joseph did justice to it and certified what our legend said, that high life originated from Ghana, and anybody who is doing high life today in Nigeria got the influence from Ghana, which is fair. It is very, very beautiful for us to get influence. Definitely, when they go out there, they will also add their culture, the way they also do their music, to also modify it a bit. But the fact still remains that when we are talking about the originality of high life music with respect to the African continent, the influences comes from Ghana, and any other country that will be doing high life today saw their or got their influences from Ghana, because the time of the 80 Mensens, which legendary mention, you probably see the name E.T. Mensah. The 1950s, I think 1950 is when the Tempos band, E.T. Mensah formed the Tempos band, which the legendary mentioned. There was even another band he formed in 1954, which is the Star Rockets, but that was it wasn't that popular as the Tempos. And in 1957, when Ghana gained the independence, that is when he released Ghana Land of Freedom, which
Yeah.
the legendary also mentioned. So even when we talk about the days of Nanam Padu's, Abrecheba Kofi Same, Amachi Dede, those types, these people actually moved to Nigeria and they were performing,
Yes.
and high life music was very dominant that time. If when you hear this song,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
oh, that is Nanam Padu.
And
And
actually, he
some of them
confessed
even
that he
start
lied in that lyrics, that what he said
ex-
wasn't even a Nigerian language. But to
exactly.
gain
But
some markets here in Ghana, he had to use that Nigerian
exactly.
accent.
But the influence was because if we are singing in tree,
Yeah.
most of them may not understand.
Yeah.
So you try to write songs in pidgin or English so that a lot of the Nigerians can really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And when you listen to a song like Yellow Sisi by
Abrecheba
Abrecheba
Kofi
Kofi Same,
Samai.
so they started even writing in pidgin
Yeah.
so that Nigerians, a lot of Nigerians can really appreciate the high life sound. So the influence of high life in Nigeria, we can attest to the fact that those days, all these Nigerian high life musicians who toured in Ghanaian high life musicians who toured in Nigeria also helped. And so I'm not surprised that our brother said even today some part of Nigeria still plays high life music because of the influence that they got from it. So there's no debate about it, and I don't think it is something that we should be shy about. That okay, this genre, if you're talking about its originality or Nigerians got their influence of high life from Ghana, because we also know some musicians who came down here to also learn the high life sound and also add theirs to it. And today, we can say certain Nigerians also are doing beautiful high life music, which is also doing well on the global scene. So we are happy with the legend because his experience in life alone, and also he is someone who also has been in Ghana.
Yeah.
He has a connection with Ghana, so he knows his history when it comes to the high life genre.
Yeah.
So I think what the man said was spot on. If you want to debate or argue, then meaning you might have a very solid backing or a very solid point that you think he did not get it right. But if you don't have anything like that, what the man said was so on point, and it is back with time. The timelines can help us all to deduce whether he was lying or not. As Joseph said, the man who is known for Nigerian high life started later before E.T. Mensah started, because E.T. Mensah had released an album called The King of High Life. When they went to UK, they went to UK to tour in the UK, and they recorded an LP in the UK. There's a studio called Decca Studios. That is where they recorded it. That is an LP called The King of High Life. And the successes of that album and the countries they tour, everybody is aware. If you want to learn history, you can search and you can also read more about that. So, High Life is Ghana, and as the man said, the glory that was and is and forever be by the words of
Anyway,
Fred Edochie.
let me touch on a very important issue as well. We are talking about how life. We are talking about how life. We should be concerned about the future of how life. We would say boldly that Nigeria carried Afrobeats well. They have been able to commercialize it. They've been able to package it beautifully. They've been able to present it to the world, and it's so attractive now that Afrobeats doesn't make dancehall make any sense to us anymore. Afrobeats had, taking the place of R&B and all these things, because you might have low tempo Afrobeats that will fit into every playlist that R&B should be. Now, as a Ghanaian musician, as a high life lover, and as a high life person, the high life is yours. You have defended it with all your blood and with all your strength. What are you doing to take high life to the world globally, like how Nigerians have promoted and they have made Afrobeat so attractive? What are Ghanaians doing?
Okay, so last time when we having a conversation about Nigeria, as in when from the Ghanaian perspective, we think, let's say, a group of people came together and they decided to set an agenda and let's push Afrobeat, let's make sure we promote our artists. But when you have conversations, some of the Nigerian brothers, some of them will tell that, oh, there's nothing like that. When we think that, oh, they don't have issues with their industry, being it movies or music, they also have their issues. But one thing we can see is that Afrobeat is everywhere, and the credit will be given whether it was accidental or a group, it was deliberate. The credit will be given to them on any day. Now, when it comes to our high life, gone are the days. We all know that history will tell us the late the first president of Ghana, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, had a lot of vision for musicians, to the extent that when he's traveling overseas, he carries some musicians with him so that they will play on certain platforms that he also gets. And that was a deliberate attempt to preserve the culture. So we have moved from that era, let's say to the 70s, when high life was also so strong that we had a lot of influence, back to the 80s, even to the 90s, when we started getting other genres like the hip life and all of that. One thing I think as a Ghanaian we lack is we are not too deliberate, and we don't have the spirit of preserving our heritage. Because if we realize that high music is something that it is something that we are noted for, and we have achieved a lot of successes If we are talking about E.T. Menses, the Tempo Store in UK back in the years, making records, recording albums over there. And it means this is great. Even when we track it down, we can have the likes of the OCBSS. We all know the Boteles, the Ambules, they've been projecting Highlife even till now. So what was supposed for us to do was that Ghana, our leaders, and when we say leaders, people think, oh, everything we are talking about leaders, we are talking about leaders. Because when you leave certain things to individuals, individuals may look out for their interest, and also they may look at what makes sense. Because those days we didn't have internet, we didn't have the world wasn't this global. We don't have it in
Yeah.
we say a global.
Sorry, Kojo's line is
It
dragging, but I'm
will
definitely getting
change,
you.
and your children will also be exposed to that. Can you
Yeah, I
hello?
can hear you now. I can hear you now. Carry on.
Okay, so one thing I think we failed was to make sure that we preserve the high life sound. We invest into education of even what it is. Because today, if you ask a teenager what is high life, it will be very difficult for them to even find it. So we should have invested in that aspect of transferring that heritage to the next generation so that they will be well equipped. Like other musicians from Nigeria will come here to study or learn what high life really is. Why didn't we also take it upon ourselves as a people to make sure that we have passed it on to the next generation? And that should be an intentional a project. We shouldn't just leave it to chance. We have to make sure that we are deliberate, and we make sure that everybody, if you are Ghanaian and you are a musician or you want to pursue music, you should have a concept of high life with you. But we couldn't do that. So when we started getting influences of Western sounds, Western genres, where we had a blend of the rap music and high life, which we term hip life. By then, things were opening. The world was gradually
Yeah.
coming together. So we lost track of that heritage in terms of preservation. Although we had a couple of musicians who were still doing it. So I think, to me, Ghana, what we have failed to do is to preserve some of this history and the heritage that we can pride ourselves with. Because if you mention Jamaica, you talk
Yeah.
about reggae. You mention America, you can talk about the hip hop. You
Yeah.
know, so Ghana. When we mention Ghana, it is high life, but up to date. Are we giving the credit that we deserve? Because we fail to propagate or project it to the other part of the
Um,
world. If we have done that, I think by now we would have been high life would have been where it's supposed to be. We wouldn't have been struggling, fighting each other about how it will be defined or how we can project it or project it. Because when it was when the era of the internet came, because with that, by of access any other sounds from everywhere. So it got to a point that you have to follow a sound or a genre that is more marketable.
Yeah.
So if high life is not marketable or in vogue, you may not do it because it is business.
Yeah.
But if you have preserved it to make it attractive with the times, then by now we would have top notch high life musicians who are also competing on the world market of Africa. But I think all is not lost. If we still want to come back, sit down as a people and decide a way forward, I think we
Okay.
can still make amends. We can still make amends and make high life better once again.
All right. Quick one.
you know,
Joseph, we have just about a few minutes to wrap up, but I still want to have your own contribution. You guys
Yeah.
have been able to take Afrobeat to the world. You've chopped a lot of success with Afrobeat, filling all the arenas
Yeah.
and stadiums and all that. In your own sense, what do you think would be the kind of solution you recommend to your neighbors, Ghanaians, who are always ready to defend Highlife, which we are not seeing the vibrancy and the real thing we need to hear about Highlife? We only hear I get time before to know the
Yeah.
property. We are talking about now. And so what would be your advice to Ghanaians who always want to protect the legacy of Highlife, but they are not ready to upgrade it to the next level?
Thank you so much for that question, because I was actually waiting for it. You see, like recently, I think last week, I was covering a show, UK show of one of a Nigerian famous musician by the name Sir Chino Peter. And he came with one other Igbo high life musician by the name Shama Melody. So I was to have interview with that Igbo high life musician. One of the questions I wanted to ask him is because music is evolving, and it look as if, because if you come to my own region where I come from, high life is our dominant music. If you go to Yoruba, they have their traditional music that they call juju music. So you will hear the infusion. You see, I want to touch on something. I don't know if this is going to be controversial or if a lot of people will disagree with me on this. You know, this Afrobeat we talk about, when you want to talk about Afrobeat, in my opinion, you don't generalize Afrobeat to the whole of Nigeria. Because Afrobeat is an infusion of Yoruba system of beating. So they modernized the way Yoruba people play their music. The modernization of Yoruba kind of music is what we see today as Afrobeat. If people may disagree, because I grew up in Yoruba land and I see the way they played, there's a lot of beat in Yoruba music system. And that's why if you look at their music today, if you look at Afrobeats today, you will see a lot of Yoruba signature. And that's why you see most of our highest paid musicians, they are coming from the Yoruba area. Our people who are used to high life, they are not getting that kind of hype, that kind of level that other Yoruba artists are getting, because we are in the same shoe with the Ghanaian people, because high life is our music, is the way what we see that suit us. We have not found a way to modernize it like Yoruba people packaged their own music, infuse it, and call it this Afrobeat. Like I'm saying, 80% of Afrobeat has its root in Yoruba culture. So we now from the East, that's why you hardly see any artist from the East who, if I may say, is competing with Davido, Olamide. Many of the Yoruba Wizkid, many of the Yoruba artists, that if you listen to Wizkid first music, Ojo Elegba, you see that it's like it's the Yoruba music that was a little bit tweaked. So the only some musicians we have in the east of the Niger is like Fino.
Yeah.
You see, if you rate Nigerian music, put them where they belong, you see that Afrobeat is mainly dominated by Yoruba sound that is infused with modernized, if I may say. So we, now that we have high life, as we are still looking for a way to package it. That's why when I met with that Igbo artist, he's a well-known artist in the east of Niger, very popular. Yeah. I want a part of our interview. The question I wanted to ask him, because I wanted to ask him, what are you guys doing to package high life? And that is the same question I'm going to ask to a Ghanaian high life musician, because if you say the problem, the it's on you guys to find a way to redefine high life. Because if I will be boldly say that our Yoruba brothers have found a way to fine tune and modernize their own juju music into Afrobeat. Then people who high life is their dominant way of music expression, what are you guys doing? Because you can't just sit down and look music, and music is leaving you. And that high life that we all say we have something we appreciate, you are not doing anything. Just like my brother is saying, we can't blame our leaders, because if you blame our leaders, what are you going to say about Nigerian about Nigerians who took it upon themselves to do something? There's one guy in Yoruba land, one guy. His name is ID Kabasa. Go and read about him. He is the person that is behind this Afrobeat.
I see.
When that guy talks, everybody listen. ID Kabasa, he discovered almost all the music artists they are hearing about today. And he is one of the guys who inspired this modern Afrobeat that we all talk about. So we need to find a way to modernize this music to sell it. If not, nobody's Afrobeat is started in Ghana. So how it started?
I'm coming. Hold on. On
Sorry.
the bits
Okay.
you were saying about what's the name? Idi Kaba, or the name you just mentioned?
ID Kabasa.
Yes.
ID Kabasa.
Yeah. I mean, in the knowledge of Nigeria, it's only Fela that is always presented to us as the originator of Afrobeat.
No, Fela. See, the Afrobeat Fela plays is Afro jazz. Fela infused African, especially Yoruba music instrument into Western instrument. It is jazz. That is Afro jazz. This Afrobeat you are talking about, it was, I think, either one musician in Nigeria. When they came to London to record, they were asking them which name should we give it. They didn't have any name. Fela music was Afrobeat. But when they now want to rebaptize it, they say Afrobeats with X. So Fela was playing that is jazz. Fela music is jazz. That's why nobody has been able to replicate it the way Fela played. Afrobeat was part of juju music, like Yoruba kind of using drum with a heavy beat to do music. So that was how those young men from Yoruba land modernized it and present it today to what we are seeing of Davido, Olamide, Wizkid, and all these guys now that you see that is making wave. So we now that we're in the East, that high life is our music, we are still struggling to find a way to package high life. So it's not only in Ghana, my brother.
Well noticed, and I think this is we should be a collaborated effort to also make sure that Highlife attains the heights that Afrobeat has attained. Because to me, in Ghana, we have a proverb, we say, "Enamdodo and senkwine," meaning if you put a lot of meat in a soup, they spoil them. So if Africa, we are representing Highlife and Afrobeat at the top, it's for the goodness of Africa. It is not just for a country. Trust me, any Ghanaian that will say that they have not benefited from Afrobeat is a big liar. I mean, we have musicians in Ghana who have gone on a world tour, been on big stages. They've been paid on these Afro nations and all these things from this Afrobeat. So regardless, coming from Nigeria or coming from Ghana, once it becomes big, we all go chop from him. That's the fact.
Yes.
So I think both of you have made this discussion so easy and then very enjoyable, not like the regular baseless arguments from Ghana and Nigeria. The Ghana jollof fine and Nigeria jollof fine past Ghana. This is more of elite discussions, but still, I'm sure in the comment section, other people will have different views. And so your views and your opinions are welcome. If there is something that we still need to come back here to address, we definitely do. We've done almost about 38, and in about 40 minutes time, I want us to wrap up. So in 1 minute, I would want to have Kojo's last words to people who are watching and his last words for Highlife. And also, we'll also have 1 minute from Brother Joseph as well. So Kojo, let's go.
Okay, so yes, Highlife is still alive if we try to be more in because if you look at the current crop musicians nowadays, the Amrados, the Kofi Kinates, you know, the Kimpalutes, their sound, they are doing Highlife music. So if you want to be deliberate, I think it is easier because if the music gets that necessary push and attention and it gets traction online, I think we can work. Classical example, what Brain Jota did with that
Gong, gong, gong.
song.
Yeah.
Look at River song. What happened? It was trending. So if we will be deliberate that okay, we want to make sure that I like music in America, in London, and they see a sound trending. What is it about? They may want to do a lot of research to find more details about whatever is happening. So I think it is not too late. As musicians, for me, I'm doing Highlife. I'm proud that I'm a Highlife musician. I hide it. I wish a lot of the young ones will also pride themselves with a genre. A sense of business. I think you can't do something that would out. We would try. Stakeholders to come on board, musicians. I think authorities, the ministries, governmental ministries to also come on board to make sure that we sit down as a people, redefine the genre, educate people on it, and make sure we can tap into the world market. And if you want to tap into the world market, we need to make sure that at least we identify a bit with them. That's why there was the influence of adding Western instruments and all of that, right? Because you want to make it easy for them. Like a Nigerian come to Ghana and say Akwaba or Medasi. Quickly, you welcome that person because he's trying to adapt with you. So if
All right.
we want to be dynamic and it's attractive to them, I think Highlife will bounce back again.
All right. So, Uncle Joseph, your last words in 1 minute and we wrap it up.
Yeah, my last word in 1 minute is I believe if we have more of Brain Jota, people like Brain Jota who can, let me say, jokingly use Highlife like he did. If we have more of those people, sometimes influencing goes a long way. Media, there's a lot of power in media. It's what you project, the people will see. We projected Afrobeats, they accept it. If a lot of Brain Jota begin to project Highlife, people will take it. So my last word is, let's have more of Brain Jota. I think Highlife will, because that Highlife, that go, people we are doing it here in London. Both white people at their workplace. So if we have more of Brain Jota, I don't think they will accept Highlife.
Quickly. Paco. One second.
Go on.
To add to what Joseph said, we have Brain Jotas. We have more of them there. But we have to influence them because they have the capacity to make sure that some of these things will trend. So we have to now run to them.
No,
Imagine.
we don't have to influence them because the culture is part of them.
Yeah.
They themselves
but
have to.
where we have gotten to, we have lost that sense of patriotism, So he, as an individual, he's doing business, right? In his own mind, with his own discretion, he decided to use that sound. Imagine that we have deliberately commissioned about top 10 celebrities in Africa, and we have tasked them to use certain high life sounds for their content. Imagine how that would be. So we don't have to use that. Oh, accidental. We wouldn't get there.
No. What I'm trying to see is this. Is us that owe ourselves that duty. It doesn't have to be accidental. It has to be intentional because you want to market yourself. So those, why I say we need a lot of brain data. It must not be a push. It has to be out of, you want to still market some things that you have not brought to the world attention. Bring it out. People want to see it. It's their duty. Because how did Afrobeat grow?
Beautiful.
It grew with internet.
Yeah,
it's we that marketed the same way we marketed this. Let those people who have that media influence, let them come up. We are not going to beg them.
Yeah. I mean, Flavor has this song called Conqueror. That thing. Flavor is an Highlife artist, and that song was everywhere. So I think once we make an effort, it would work. One painful thing I have about Highlife is that I play Highlife on, the only genre I do on radio now is Highlife, which is on Plus FM. And the funny thing is that we have limited Highlife to only old musicians. And so if you're a DJ and you are asked to play Highlife on radio, you are limited to play only the songs of Nanam Pedu, Daddy Lumba, Amachi Dede. Once you play a Kojo King songs, people are struggling to identify that to be a Highlife song because they feel like every Highlife song should be an old song, which shouldn't be like that. And so if we also want Highlife to grow, we have to infuse and play new Highlife songs alongside the ones that we know already. We shouldn't be always, playing the old songs. Trust me, listen to all radio stations across. When they say that they are going to play Highlife songs, 80% or 90% of the songs they play are from the old men who are dead and gone. They don't even give the young guys doing Highlife a chance. So what would propel or encourage him to play Highlife or to do more Highlife songs? Because at the end of the day, once he does Highlife music, he doesn't fit into Afrobeats playlist. He doesn't fit into Highlife song playlist. So then where are we going to put him? Then they will leave his song somewhere like that because, Highlife is supposed to be old people. No. The young people can also do Highlife. So this will be my message for the day. And it's been beautiful having this conversation with you. I've loved it, and I'm sure from time to time we'll be doing more of this. So guys, let me see you in the comment section, and we'll say bye-bye for now. Thank you, Kojo, for coming, for your time, and just thank you for your time. To my regards to the people in UK, and Kojo, they meet Ghana here now. So my regards to when home people. All right, guys, thank you for coming.
All right, really bye-bye.
Grateful. And so, guys, let me see you in the comment section. What you have to share, let it be very respectful. Make you no come insult here, else we go block you. Let's share ideas and grow Africa as a nation. I'm out of here. Bye-bye. Okay.
DJ Paco Rich.